and welcome to the blogging pod. When the head of the administration came forward and declared that Epstein files and so called client lists were nothing more than a hoax, it wasn't just a political statement, it was a disruption of fact. The declaration cast doubt on ongoing lawsuits, on survivor testimony, and on very real paper trails still working its way through the courts. It wasn't just dismissive, it was damaging. Because while the public was told there's no list, survivors of Epstein's trafficking network are still, to this day, pursuing justice. And much of that justice is tied directly to a man named Darren Indyke. So who is Darren Indyke? He wasn't just Epstein's attorney. He was the man behind the curtain, the one who made Epstein's money move, who set up the shell companies, who managed the payment, who kept the financial gears turning while the abuse continued for years. For decades, he quietly worked in the background, helping Epstein purchase real estate, shuffle money through offshore accounts, and structure financial entities that ultimately supported and protected the trafficking operation. When Epstein died, it was Indyke who became one of the co-executors of the estate, placing him once again in position of immense control. But the real shift came when survivors began naming Indyke in civil lawsuits. These aren't accusations made in a vacuum. They're backed by financial records, internal company documents, and communications that outline how funds were moved and identities were masked. The lawsuits detail how Indyke allegedly arranged sham marriages, managed payment to victims, and helped disguise the true nature of Epstein's empire. In legal terms, this isn't speculation, it's evidence. And that's what makes the narrative around the supposed hoax so hollow. Because even if there's no official client list in the format people expect, typed up, stamped, and alphabetized, the structure of Epstein's network tells its own story. The emails, the company filings, the LLCs formed for obscure reasons, and the payouts that match survivor accounts. All of this builds a clear framework, and Darren Indyke is one of the few people who had eyes on all of it. As of now, lawsuits against him are still active. They are survived dismissal attempts and are moving forward in federal court. These aren't ghosts of a scandal, they're living legal cases backed by documents and survivor testimony. And yet the public is being told that none of it is real, that it's all fiction, that there's nothing left to uncover. But that's not the truth. The truth is that survivors are still fighting, not only for justice, but for recognition that what happened to them was real, and that the people who built the system enabling it all are still being held accountable, even if only in slow, grinding march of a civil court. So while the head of the administration may want to rewrite the narrative, the lawsuits against Darren Indyke and the evidence behind them prove otherwise. There may not be a list, but there is a map, a network, a ledger of names and actions built in the bones of Epstein's empire. And that is far harder to deny. And today's podcast sources come from the White House has files on 1.5 Epstein money trail, says Senator. The Times, Trump's subordinates ran an Epstein Ponzi scheme. Now comes the bank run, Washington Post. 2 of Epstein's close advisors can face victims' claims, Reuters. Jeffrey Epstein's estate grows after massive tax refund, New York Post. Virginia Island AG sues Epstein estate attorney Darren Indyke, ABC News. Thank you for listening. Until next time, bye-bye for now.